Well, we're off and running. This is June 14th. It's a Wednesday. Headed for the Broughtons, solo for the first little while. So we're leaving the marina. It's a little bit of a tight fit. It's a rising tide, so if I bump, I'll just wait a few minutes. So, first 2 weeks, getting up to Port McNeill. So up through the Canadian Gulf Islands, up through Dod Narrows, across the strait to around Pender Harbor somewhere, up Malaspina, and then decide whether I go up Johnstone Strait direct via Campbell River or go around the back way through the Yucultas, Dent Rapids, Green Point Rapids. That all depends on what the weather does when I get there. Looking forward to getting up to even into the Gulf Islands and then up towards Campbell River. It's going to be a challenge again this year. Forecast is not bad for the first part of the week, or I guess the latter part of this week, first part of the trip. It looks like we might get a bit of a breeze and no rain yet. A few minutes later, we're off and running. Nice, I guess it's a southerly wind, south-southwest or southeast wind. And we'll take Moresby Pass instead of Johns Pass, because there'll be more wind out there. And yeah, so far so good. Pretty quiet Montague Harbor. Of course, it is a big place. Not much in the way of wind this morning. Forecast is for light northwesterlies, and we'll see what happens. 19 miles to Dod Narrows, so we might just go to Nanaimo today. We'll see what happens. Some guy's going to come southbound through Dod Narrows against the current. It's 3.5 knots at the moment. I'll just turn around and wait for him to get through. He's struggling. Now come the whirlpools. And again, it's not that big a deal. We're just drifting along the shore of Gabriel Island, where the log booms are stored. Headed for Jack Point and the Inner Harbor, wing and wing. Nice little sail. Pretty light winds, but hey, I got all the time in the world. It's only like 2:30. Pretty quiet. No. There's showers predicted for tomorrow, and presumably sunshine in the afternoon with a southeasterly wind. So we might be heading out tomorrow afternoon. Does look like there's a breeze out there. I got to do a drive-by.
Okay.
Stay dry.
Otherwise, you were never in the video. Have a safe drive.
Thank you. Yeah.
See you next year.
Yeah, bye-bye.
There's someone that didn't quite calculate the tides right, or was taking a shortcut. This guy's even worse than that. Headed across the strait today, motoring out of Newcastle Channel, past Stone's Marina. Not much wind in here, but it's apparently blowing out there southeast east at 18 knots at Entrance Island. Once again, it's a busy place. So far, it isn't too bad. Even the shower's starting. But of course, we're just out in the Nano. We have 17 miles to go to get to Welcome Passage. So, just about 11:30. Be there about 2:30. Just about right. Still a little lumpy, as you can tell. But the rain never did come. Quite a pleasant crossing, although a little lumpy. And we're almost into Welcome Passage. Coming up to the entrance to Smuggler's Cove. Coming out of Welcome Passage. Where the current is good and the wind is good. It should really carry on, but it's coming up on 3 o'clock. I think I'll quit for the day. Spend the day here tomorrow and then see what the weather does. Well, if that wasn't a total cluster, holy smokes. So I changed my mind. Probably go up to Hardy Island or somewhere up there, because the current's still with me and there's still a breeze from the southeast. So I might as well take advantage of it. Might even go to Pender, which is just around the corner. So I went with the Spinnaker up, got it a little bit tangled up, and then I forgot to wrap the sheet around the winch, tie it off, so it went into the water. So it was out like a flag. Fortunately, there wasn't too much wind. I was able to fish it out with the boat hook. So yeah. Probably look really good from the shore or any other boat, but it's up and it's pulling. Not all that far from Welcome Passage and Smugglers just yet. I had a peek inside Smugglers and there were lots of boats in there, so probably pretty crowded. But it's still early in the day, so why not? Headed over to Madeira Park for a few groceries. Realized I left home without port. Not the dock type, but the drinking type. So got to get some of that. A few other odds and ends. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of room at the dock, so I'll take the dinghy over.
And on this, I can use my paddle as an outrigger, okay? Like I said,
It'll be the Saturday morning races. Saturday morning races at Under Harbor. It is 11:45, just about low tide. So we're headed over. Well, it was a almost pleasant half-hour sail in the wrong direction, right across Johnstone Strait in very light winds, and then it died. So now we're at Cape Coburn and we're powering to Hardy Island. No wind, left over slack. No forecast for wind, so yeah, we're going to Hardy. Forecast is for a possibility of thunderstorms, so we shall see. Well, we're back in a roll spot. Trees still here. The bay is still here. We're here by ourselves. There's the old dock. Not exactly exploring the great unknown. I've only been here 1,000 times before. So we're going to go check out the Karen house. And Paul will know what I'm talking about. This is the house at Hardy Island that Paul was going to buy for Karen. It was destroyed last year, torn down. And now it looks like they're building something else. So let's go check it out. Well, they've certainly deposited a bunch of lumber here. And it's not weathered or anything, so I would assume that this is relatively new. Chances are by next year this time, there will be a house here of some kind. And here's a brand new dock. Since last year. Didn't get a barbecue. Doesn't go anywhere. I mean, there's nothing at the head of the dock. Yeah, it would have to happen eventually. Leaving Hardy Island one more time. All the morning whitecaps are gone. So we'll see what transpires headed north. Just out of Hardy Bay. And so far so good. Headed over to Texada. We'll be tacking up Malaspina Strait It's starting to get a little cool. Pretty cool breeze. But it's a steady 12 to 15 across the deck. The current's now in our favor, so it's pushing us north. And we're just about up to Texas Island here. We're going to put a tack in, get back over to the mainland. We're eventually getting to Sturt Bay. That's it in the background. The wind has done a 90-degree shift. It's now coming over Texas Island. Interesting shift. Now we're trying to beat the rain clouds to Sturt Bay. We're 3.5 nautical miles from it, so that'll take about half an hour. Those rain clouds in the background there are slowly coming this way. There's rain clouds over Westview as well, so we'll see what they do tonight. But it's been a fairly good sail today. Certainly not been the warmest of days, but not bad. Oh yeah, there's a mayday off at Otter Bay, Gulf Islands. Someone 50 meters offshore in the water. Could be swimming, who knows? It isn't exactly a sparkling clear morning, and it's flipping cold out. Woke up this morning, it was 6 degrees in the cabin. It didn't even rain overnight. It's supposed to rain this morning and then break into sunshine this afternoon. But we're away from the dock, and we're theoretically headed for Lund today. We'll see how far we get. It's 15 miles to Lund. We're against the wind and the current, falling tide all morning. This one came up almost underneath me, for Pete's sakes. There are two of them. Probably mother and calf. It's 1 o'clock and we're going past historic Lund. Into Thulin Pass, wing and wing. It's not very often I go wing on wing, but this would be the appropriate place. Not a whole lot of traffic. And the southeasterly has sprung up just like they predicted. The wind did come up from the southeast, and if we were a further distance from Squirrel Cove, I'd put the Spinnaker up. But we're less than an hour, so I'll just coast downwind. There's the store, public dock. We got the main down, and we're aimed for the entrance to Squirrel Cove. We're just about there. It's a pretty straight shot in. Not much to hit. So far it doesn't look too busy in here.
Cove Table Tasman, go up to Derval, which are all names that you wouldn't understand unless you looked at the
Right.
map of Marlborough Sounds.
Right. It's like describing
Yeah.
cruising in BC waters to somebody that's
Exactly.
never been
Here
here.
before, yeah.
You know, I can picture if someone describes where they're cruising in BC waters,
You
I
know
can picture it in
exactly
my
where
head,
they're going.
and I can vision where they're cruising.
Yeah.
But New Zealand waters,
Not at all, sure.
yeah,
We're fortuitous though, because Kathy, Jan, and I helped Jan. We plotted a potential course because they were very nice to give Jan a cruising guide of this area,
right?
and so Jan and Kathy, when she was with us, they started working and mapping out the places they want to go through on this, and then we put it all on the
Right.
computer, and so
Yeah.
so we have a really good idea of where we're actually going. Except today I got confused.
Then, you know, and then he
Where are we
sent
going?
but they sent me a trip
But
itinerary.
we-
They documented it all, right?
Right.
So I got to,
Yeah.
you know, that's where I had to reserve, got to reserve the marina.
The last of the sun. Squirrel Cove. I doubt that anyone's up yet. 6:30 in the morning, and I'm underway. So it's just after 7 a.m. You see there's lots of wind, lots of boats out here. This is perfect power boat weather. Don't know where everyone is. We're headed for a big bay in the Yucultas, and we have to be there by noon at the latest. It's still 17 miles away, and so we're on the way. Otto's doing the driving. We are into the Yuculta Rapids. Just before 10. Slack is at 12:30. Of course, maximum current is about 6.5 knots here at the moment, so it shouldn't really be a problem. And I can see we're running into some whirlpools here. That's going to be interesting. We're up to 10 knots. This looks like quite the exclusive place. And I'm sure it's spectacular in the sunshine. That was a bit exciting there. That's a good, almost a foot drop. Unfortunately, I was too busy driving to video that. And we're a long way from Dent Rapids at the moment. And we're still doing 9 knots over the bottom. So it extends a long way back. A relatively unusual sight. There's nobody here. It's about 11:30. I guess the afternoon crowd hasn't arrived yet, and the morning crowd has already gone northbound. Catch the Green Point Rapids, which are going to change in about half an hour. Cool. I get my pick of places to tie up. A little busier than earlier this afternoon.
Well, it would be
it's a tough life, but somebody has to do it. The fish boat is gone, so quiet has descended. The sun is out, not a hard cloud in the sky, and dinner is being served in the aft deck. A bit chilly this morning. A wee bit of a cool breeze. Time to put a jacket on. A little bit of that logging still going on here. Entering the fearsome Green Point Rapids. Yeah, this is going to be a non-event. This is just after slack. It's just starting to. I'm doing about 6.5 over the bottom at the moment. Well, 7.2 knots is the best we could do at Green Point. But at least it's starting to ebb, so we get a boost all the way up to Welburn Pass and Forward Harbor. Well, I'm into Welburn Channel. Forward Harbor is just around the next corner on the right. It's just after 9 a.m. I'm going to keep going. Currently Fanny Island is 5 knots from the west. The wind is supposed to pick up this afternoon, but I might just be able to get as far as Port McNeill or further before that wind picks up. We'll see what happens. Forecast is for westerlies to pick up tomorrow or this afternoon and then continue for the next 3 or 4 days. So here's hoping I can get out either today through Johnstone Strait. Otherwise I'll be waiting in Forward Harbor for a few days. Okay, it's about 10:15. We're about half an hour away from getting into Johnstone Strait. And the light westerly wind has just come up and the skies are getting clear. We actually still have cell phone coverage, kind of hard to believe over here. Current's pretty well dissipated, so we're down to 5.6 knots. So sail flow is calling for light and variable winds in Johnstone Strait. Windy is calling for the same. Environment Canada is calling for up to 18 kilometers per hour, which is basically saying the same thing. The Coast Guard Weather Channel is calling for strong wind advisory this afternoon, with winds 10 to 20, rising to 25 late this afternoon from the west. Well, if we can make Port McNeill, that'd be nice. If we can make it all the way to the Broughtons, Blackfish Sound, that'd be even nicer. This will be the entrance to Port McNeill. Pretty major scalping. Well, with the best of intentions, that is the entrance to Port Harvey. And we're up to 15 knots across the deck. Just came up recently, so it's not that bad. So we've timed this perfectly. And we'll go into Port Harvey and try again tomorrow. But now we can go around the backside. Don't have to do Johnstone Strait anymore. Well, who proved right? Coast Guard Radio predicted increasing winds this afternoon. And right now it's probably blowing between 15 and 20 out in Johnstone Strait. Whitecaps everywhere. I'm well inside of that by now in Port Harvey, although I'm going around the backside. Nice little breeze over the stern at this point. Have the Genoa out, drifting downwind. Going around to Lagoon Cove. I've never been here before. This will be new. I'm gonna have to pay attention to the chart. Somebody's homestead. Just up the coast from Burial Cove. As they say, patience is a virtue. It's a narrow river. Unfortunately, the tide is flooding, as we knew it would. I just didn't think that the current was going to be quite this strong in here, and if I'd researched it, I would have figured it out. But right now, the current is against us about 3.5 knots. Well, not quite that much, I guess, 3 knots. And it's only 25 feet deep here. You can see all the kelp along the shore there. We have 3.5 nautical miles to go, but the narrow and shallow part is only about 2 miles further. So it'll get deeper when you get around this corner. So the current should slack off. So patience is a virtue. I've been fortunate enough to have written a few articles for Good Old Boat magazine. And they've been kind enough to send me a box of magazines to distribute this summer.
How many years were these? 2 years.
Working on your boat, the exotic Wasington, right?
It's like medium, but it's not exotic. Is it a good day, Don? He said no. It's a beautiful day.
Another cool, cloudy morning as we head out of here. The skies are breaking up a little bit. There's some blue sky overhead. There is a breeze out there. We're going to Wasington Bay, I think it is called. It's only 15 miles in a straight line, but that means going over top of that mountain. So I think we'll go around. Oh, here we are. I do believe we're in Night Inlet, sailing to windward. It's about 10:45. The clouds are finally starting to break open a little bit. It's a gale warning for Johnstone Strait today. Upwards of 40 knots this afternoon. Good thing I'm here. It's 1 o'clock. And unfortunately the tide has turned against us, so now we're against the wind and climbing uphill. Not that there's much of a current, but it will build as the afternoon progresses. There's 2 of them as usual. Looks like a mother and calf. I love the fix. Here we are, sailing across to Sea Breeze Island on a reach. We're going to turn to starboard into that channel. And then we're only 3.5 miles from our destination. I still can't remember the name of the destination. It's terrible. A good look at the chart, I guess. So we're going into Wasington Harbor. And one of the reasons I couldn't remember it, because there's a Wasington channel in Desolation. This is quite the narrow and shallow entrance. And the sailboat on the right there is from this morning as well. It's not a bad place to be. Bit of a breeze kicking up, but it'll die later on. Time for a drink. And a little bit of relaxation. It's just about 7 o'clock. The barbecue's lit. The clouds are moving back in. And the wind is still howling. The gusts are up about 15. It isn't bad, but it's cold. The wind is cold. Still 20 degrees in the cabin. And as predicted, the appropriate song is on. I gotta turn this down before it starts burning. Another foggy, cloudy, damp morning. It's 9:30. I'm just making breakfast. It is what it is. This is done. Time to have breakfast. Just charging up the batteries. We'll power out of here for a while at 1500 RPM. Put some juice back in the batteries. Once we get out of this channel, we'll put the sails back up. And so here we are again. That's Vancouver Island in the background, snow on the tops. We're looking towards Port McNeill in the background there. But a nice little breeze, the sky is clearing. I've made cell phone contact with all sorts of people. Paul's already driving somewhere between Banff and Jasper, stuck in a roadblock for construction. We're doing good. We're not exactly sailing the Gulf Islands, but hey, this isn't a bad second choice. Other than the morning fog and drizzle and cold wind. We just take a look at the scenery. This is spectacular. And I see one sailboat way on the horizon, just a speck. No whales today, not yet anyway. In the background there is blackening the pass. This will be a White Beach passage. And I'll assume that that's White Beach right there. Came through here last time I was through here. It's already 20 to 3. Time flies when you get a late start in the morning.
Paddling, but I don't know how I did them. I just have to well, I might have my Fitbit on.
And I'm bringing sheets. I'm bringing sheets. Nobody here, right? There wasn't any boats over there at all.
Is this like an Owen Bay story?
Short story, yeah. So I went for a walk through the forest here, and it's actually really. Then they finally left, and that was the night that all of a sudden we heard noise coming in the middle of the night. We were sleeping up there in the tent, and Bruce and I hear the noise, and I wake Bruce up this time, and.
I see land. Not much of it yet, but I see land. And then you look over to the Vancouver Island side, and it's looking pretty good. And then you look behind us, and it's looking pretty bad. But it's all good. And then back into the fog. Just west of Wheaton Pass. We're in Cormorant Channel, that's Cormorant Island, backside of Alert Bay. We got about 8 miles to go. Looks like another fog bank ahead. So this is in fog. A 256-foot sailboat. It's wider than our boat is long. Right up here at Port McNeill. Sure, we'll fit right in.